Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Rowpaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news. Joining BJ Rains today is KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Mike Prater. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now, here's Mike Prater and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, happy Thursday, folks. Welcome on in from the Cutwater Studios here, Bronco Nation News Live at BroncoNationNews.com, all of our social media channels. Make sure you're subscribing on our YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, flip over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like the video, and follow the KTIK 95.3, the Ticket YouTube channel. While you're at it, we are presented by rowpaint.com. Check them out. The best in concrete coatings, roepaint.com. Our guest for his regular Thursday appearance, got him away from the PGA Championship for a little while. Mike Prater. Happy Thursday, Mike. Appreciate you as always for joining us, man.
What's going on, BJ? Appreciate you being here. And yeah, I missed the PGA. It was a 2-hour delay this morning, and I haven't got any golf yet.
A frost delay in May. Come on.
Exactly. Well, it is. That's what they get for putting golf in upstate New York. But yeah, no golf yet. Let's take that time and talk some football, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you for joining us. We did not have a show yesterday. I did go out to Timberstone Golf Course. Was checking on some things for the tournament. Did sneak in a round as well. Of course, had to check on each hole, Mike. I did plenty of checking of the rough in the area near the out of bounds stakes on several holes, and then the course is in great shape. 2 weeks from Friday for our tournament. Looking forward to having you guys out there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I know with Coach Rice being out there, and he wasn't able to make it last year. He's going to be out there this year, so I assume you guys are going to try to get him on the show there, and a lot of other dignitaries and special guests. And I know that you guys do a lot of remotes and things throughout the year, but hopefully the tournament's one of the ones you guys look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. Look forward to that. Anytime we can play golf on the company dime, I like that. Anytime we can eat free food, I like that. Hanging out with some people, met some friends that you hooked me up with last year that have become friends that are, permanent friends now. So that's how these things work. And I saw that you just have a couple little spots left. Let's get those suckers filled up because this is a really fun event. You do a lot of work on this thing. So I don't blow smoke up your butt anytime soon, BJ, but you do a hell of a job on this tournament.
Well, appreciate. Yeah. I mean, the more I want to sell out. I mean, we got a ton of foursomes. We're in great shape, but I want to sell out. And the more money we can raise for the Idaho Youth Sports Commission, the better. And you can win a car, by the way, if you get a hole-in-one on hole 6, thanks to Lithia Ford of Boise. A lot of other great stuff. We'll have the Degenhardt dozens out there for breakfast. You get a nice bag of bacon, Mike, for each foursome as well. We got R&R Barbecue. I know you guys do some stuff with. They're going to be out there providing some ribs and pulled pork sliders on a hole, and Paddles Up Poke is going to be out there, and Cutwater Spirits. We'll have to, limit you and Johnny's Cutwater Spirits. You do have a show to do after that. More worried about Johnny probably than you on that, but yes. But should be a lot of fun. And I know you guys will be out there a little different this year. We'll actually have an afternoon flight going on while you guys are out there, but folks that are in the morning flight can come hang out, watch you guys do your show, and we'll have a big crew out there till 6 o'clock when you guys get off the air. That'll be right about the time everyone's finishing up the afternoon session as well. So, yeah, we're trying the morning and afternoon session, Mike. I think it's going to go well, but raising a lot of money for charity and going to have a lot of fun. I will give a plea out there. If anybody is a business owner or has any kind of item they could donate to the raffle, we could use a few more raffle items, any kind of as small as a sleeve of balls or a $25 gift card to your restaurant or a company. Or if you want to help us out, we'll give your business a free plug during lunch, and we'd love to get some more raffle items. I think the one of the main items right now, Mike, I think we talked about this with you last week, I forget, but Chef Wally is donating tailgating food for 24, and Stein Distributing is donating a keg. So we're putting it together for a tailgate party. They can bring it to the stadium for a game or do it at your house for an away game. Catered food for 24 and a keg for a football game next year.
Are KTIK employees eligible for that?
You buy a raffle ticket, darn right you are.
Woohoo! I'm going to do it. I love that idea. Really nicely done.
Yeah, so we got a lot of great stuff. Looking forward to it. And again, appreciate everybody that signed up so far. And if you haven't, jump on in. You can email me, or you can just go to bronconationnews.com/golf. And again, that is 2 weeks from Friday. So I mentioned no show yesterday, Mike. So I briefly want to touch on the topic from yesterday, which is the defensive line. And I thought it worked out well because you and I did talk about the lack of production, the sacks from the edge position last year. And Scott Matlock had a lot to do with that as well. But the D-line in general, and Eric Chenander coming in and what he has to do, can that D-line be productive enough and do enough for what this defense needs them to do? Again, you lose Scott Matlock, you lose Divine Obucheri, you lose Jackson Cravens, 3 rotation guys there on the interior. We already talked last week about, Tarlis leaving and what they're kind of losing at the edge position. Overall, this D-line, and again, we're mostly going to talk Andy Avalos today, and I'm excited to talk about Andy Avalos going into year 3. But one of the storylines is the D-line as a whole and what they're losing. What generally, not just sacks, but just in general, run stopping, D-line. What's your thoughts on the D-line?
The word that comes to mind for me is change, and change is going to be all over the place with this defensive line, whether it's the coach, and you mentioned Eric Chenander, or personnel across the front. It's all going to be different. I mean, maybe Gums in the middle is going to get in there and take care of his business at the tackle spot. But after that, and I know we're not talking completely different names, but lots of rotating parts, lots of different names, lots of maybe plan B and C guys moving up to plan A and B guys as this depth chart evolves over the last couple of years. So I think the defensive line is going to be fascinating to watch. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad. It's definitely going to be somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's going to be bad because I do see some potential, but it also bases on what the edge guys do and the health. The defensive line to me is the great mystery of this football team.
You think about the offense has most of their skill position players back. Even along the O-line, you feel pretty good about what you bring back there with 3 starters and a couple key guys that have played for you before. We've talked a lot about having to replace those guys in the secondary, but you feel pretty good about, the Rodney Robinsons, Shale and Depot's, Alex Tubner's, because you've at least seen them play, and you feel pretty good about that. I know there's some intrigue at linebacker, obviously, with Zeke Noah leaving and bringing in whether it's Andrew Simpson or some of these guys to step in. But, I mean, if you were ranking the positions on this team from, I don't know if scariest is the right word, but just the delta of you don't know what you're getting versus good versus bad versus concern, I guess, about the position. I mean, would the D-line be up there near the top for you?
Absolutely. It might be at the top, the great unknown, the mystery, whatever you want. During the course of spring camp, and I used to call it my Boise State way too early depth chart, but at one point during spring camp, one of the coaches said, we call it our seating chart. So they actually do it for rotation for practices. So I keep a seating chart every spring camp, and my seating chart has a whole bunch of names on it. And all the positions are very well organized, and I'm pretty confident that almost every single position across the board on my seating chart is close to accurate. The defensive line is a freaking mess. I got D tackles, I got nose tackles, I got boundary DNs, I got D-line, I got outside D-line, I got inside D-line, I got defensive ends. I don't know what defensive ends in terms of edges. They're a little bit different, and they're playing around with a lot of different schemes and a lot of different personnel. So, yes, I don't know if it's a mess, but I'm going to stick with the word mystery. I think it's a great mystery right now.
Well, D-line, one of the biggest question marks, one of the biggest storylines, topics on this team going into the 2023 season. You can read more about it coming up at bronconationnews.com. But a fascinating topic for me, the expectations where this program is at 3 years into the Andy Avalos era. We will discuss that in just a second with Mike Prater, but I want to remind you we're broadcasting from the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios here with Bronco Nation News. More than 30 flavors of premixed premium cocktails, and you can pick one up at your local gas station or a grocery store. Rowpaint.com, I mentioned them, the concrete coatings, 5 times stronger than epoxy. They can do it in one day, the one-day install. Get more information, get a free quote. They'll come out and talk to you through the process. No strings attached, for free. ROEpaint.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, it's grilling season. The weather's warming up. It's going to be mid-upper 70s, almost 80 today. When the weather's warming up, that means the deals are warming up at Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. View their full inventory of vehicles, or go check them out there on Fairview Avenue in Boise. Idaho Central Credit Union next Tuesday, I believe. Mike Prater, the big announcement with Idaho Central Credit Union. Bronco Nation News, ICCU.com. Do it more than 550,000 Idahoans have done. Make the switch. ICCU. It's the best in mobile e-branch online banking. Do it today. Idaho Central Credit Union. And if you're looking for a job, how about transportation compliance service, the trucking industry? Get out on the open road. And whether it's the big rig on your screen, the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, TCS can help you with the permits and things you need. It's a booming industry right now coming off the pandemic. So maybe you haven't thought about becoming a truck driver or the trucking industry, but get more information. Sign up today at transcompservice.com. Mike, Andy Avalos, year 3, the first year 7-5, gets off to the rough start last year. People are, some people calling for his job. He makes the switch with coordinators. Taylon Green takes over. They kind of catch lightning in a bottle late in the season. They get to 10 wins. Now, some of his detractors or the naysayers would say you did it, against beating up some bad teams and against a North Texas team, in the Frisco Bowl. They get to 10 wins. No conference championships in the 2 years here so far. We'll break down some of the specifics in terms of his coaching style and personality and things like that. But just in general, where are you at going into year 3 of the Andy Avalos era?
I think he's done a good job, a decent to good job. He certainly hasn't done a great job. And I think he's done the one decision, probably on an airplane somewhere over Nevada or Utah or wherever the hell a commercial flight flies from El Paso, Texas, in the middle of a Friday night coming back to Boise, probably made the biggest decision that really kind of not only saved that season, but saved his reputation, at least early on in his career, because there was lots of rumblings after that first season. The firing stuff, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Those are the social media haters, even the extreme social media haters. But then I got a little weird in the beginning, but he made that major decision. And I don't know if I've ever seen a Boise State coach or many other college football coach to have the guts to make that kind of decision. And there was obviously a division with the quarterback, obviously some issues with the offensive coordinator. And here comes a defensive coach, head coach, and he makes the decision of his lifetime that could have saved his career at this point at Boise State, certainly saved last season. I'm not going to say it's going to save future seasons at Boise State. I think this one's a completely different season, but I think he's done a good job. And it's all because of mostly what he did that Friday night after El Paso.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Nicholas Bowman on the ICCU YouTube chat says Andy Avalos needs to win the season opener this year. I don't know if he needs to. It's going to be a tough game against Washington. We'll talk about it in a second. If he doesn't, that'll be the 3rd straight opener he's lost. I believe there'll be more fans that won't go to games if they lose to Washington, according to Nick.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, there'll be some fans that don't go to games. There'll be some fans. If Boise State wins that opener, I mean, the excitement around here, we know what it feels like. We've seen it, and it'll happen instantly overnight. If they lose, it'll be like, here we go again. The home schedule is really bad, so they're already having a tough time selling that home schedule. It's imperative that he wins that opener, but I don't think he needs to, and I don't think he will, unfortunately.
I would say he needs to win the UCF game.
Yes. I think he needs to finish preseason 3-2. Those first 5 games, 3-2. And I think there's a San Diego State game in there as well, but he needs to finish those first 5 games at least 3-2, because I sadly see a potential for 1-4. And that's even with a good team and a good coach. 1-4 is very realistic looking at that schedule. He has to finish 3-2. That's the need part, not so much beating Washington. If he beats Washington, that's like giving me 7 helpings of gravy on my potatoes. That's a beautiful thing. I don't need it, but I want it, and it's going to be great. The home record or the home schedule, UCF, 3-2 after those first 5 games. That's the important stuff.
You talk about selling tickets and things. Beating UCF in front of a packed house in your home opener probably would help with some of the tickets for the home games later in the season. It also, if you want to get to 3-2, means you only need to win one of the Memphis or San Diego State road games. If you can pick off UCF somehow, and again, bigger, a lot easier said than done. That makes a little bit easier stretch, because then you beat North Dakota. You're 2-1 going down to San Diego State for your opener. You get that, you're 3-1, almost playing with house money against Memphis. You got a chance to go 4-1, or if you lose to San Diego State, you're 2-2 with a big game at Memphis. But you start 0-2 and lose to UCF, which again, I think rational fans would say, well, you're probably going to be underdogs in both games. You probably should be 0. You probably should be 0-2. But like you said, you start this thing 1-4, which again would be I don't know if there's such thing as a respectable 1-4, but none of the losses would necessarily be quote unquote bad losses or terrible losses. And you still may end up 9-4 or 10-4, because the rest of the schedule gets a lot easier. But if they're 1-4, you mentioned the Twitter trolls and people like that, Mike, there will be people out there talking about Andy Avalos' job security.
Absolutely. And it'll be thick. It'll be from normal people too, and just not the Twitter trolls. And if he starts 1-4, what does that make him? What is his record? 17-9. So all of a sudden he's 18-13. That's bad. That's bad. That's big picture stuff. And even I might have to start jumping out there and throwing around some opinions if that happens. So I don't expect that to happen. Again, it's realistic. If Andy Avalos has that kind of a start, he's going to have to make another big decision. And I don't even know where that would come from. Certainly we don't think Taylor Green's going to tank. The offense looks pretty darn good. The defense, could the defense be bad? I don't think it's going to be bad. I just don't think it's going to be exceptional right now. It might turn into that. So I don't know, man. It's just a bad timing and a weird time for that weird schedule.
Yeah, it is not a great when I know they won 10 games last year, but and it's a nice thing to build on. But like I said, I think some people look at that and go, you still didn't win a conference championship. You got it, in a Frisco Bowl, kind of meaningless bowl game. I think they wanted, this could be the year to get some momentum, and it's not necessarily the schedule to do it. Jordan Morales says, what fans choose to go to games based on an opener? Same ones, must be the same ones that cancel their season tickets based on which players are on the stadium banners. Perry says Bronco fans, including me, want to return to the glory days where we expect to win even against Washington on the road.
Yeah,
you want to get there, but you're not there yet. Washington's got a top 15, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, a top 15 game. It's a big game. It's the type of game in the past Boise State would win, but I think it's a little different right now, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. We would all like to get back there, but they're not there, as you said. So, I like fans who think that way. That's just not a realistic way of thinking. And Boise State, that's going to be just a tough game. I can see Boise State losing to Washington and then running the table after that. I mean, that would certainly get them fired up. That would be a nice little rebound. But that Washington game's a tough one. I don't see that under any circumstances.
So before we get into some specifics about his coaching and things like that, so you're fine with Andy, and it's not great, not terrible. It could be better, but through 2 years, we mentioned 17-9. That is the worst 2-year start going back to Dirk Cutter, who was 16-8, more than 20 years ago. Harsin was 21-6, did have that Fiesta Bowl his first year. Peterson was 23-3, had the Fiesta Bowl. Dan Hawkins 20-5 in his first 2 years. It's really hard to win, and I think those guys kind of did spoil Boise State fans a little bit with what they did right off the bat. Yep. The situation was different. Harsin didn't exactly leave it in perfect place. For Avalos coming in his first year, there was a lot of house cleaning he had to do with the roster and things like that, and the Bronco way and things that he talked about, the culture and things. So maybe it wasn't the same situation, obviously, for him coming in, but we want folks' opinions, what you think of Andy Avalos through 2 years. But Mike, it sounds like he's doing fine, could be better, could be worse, but maybe you're fine with what he's done through 2 years.
I am fine with what he's done. Probably just a little bit better than fine. He needs to continue to show growth, consistent growth, and maybe even massive growth, because I want to see leaps and bounds with this program, and that could mean losing to Washington and then rebounding afterwards. It could mean getting to a big-time bowl game before the tournament starts next year. So if it wasn't for that night in UTEP, I would think I would give Andy Avalos probably a C- at this point, maybe a C at best. But that one decision was so bold and so strong and worked so well that you have to give him credit, massive amounts. That probably bought him, in my opinion, at least a year or two of more honeymoon time just based on that. I don't know if fans feel that way, especially if this season goes south, but that's the kind of strength that decision holds for me in terms of what he did. So I give him a ton of credit. I'd probably give him a B- in his career right now.
Hey, if you're looking for some Boise State gear for that Washington home opener, head to the Blue and Orange store. The blueandorangestore.com offers free shipping for any order over $40, or you can go into the Boise Town Square Mall there on the second floor next to Pro Image and get all your NIL shirts, jerseys, coach sideline apparel, and more at the Blue and Orange store.com. Bauscher Real Estate, the number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley, Matt Bauscher. Bauscher Real Estate, no home is too big or too small. Check them out. BauscherRealEstate.com. They are the t-shirt sponsor for the tournament, so you'll be getting a new t-shirt courtesy of Bauscher Real Estate at the Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Go download their app. The Ridley's app in your smartphone gets you savings up to 40% at your local neighborhood Ridley's Family Markets. 13 locations in the state of Idaho. Find yours at shopridleys.com. You need a dentist? Check out Dr. Miner, BoiseDentistryCo.com. An enjoyable experience to go to the dentist, the highest, newest technology, friendly staff. We're just very happy we connected with the Miners and made the switch. BoiseDentistryCo.com at 906-1255. Find a location near you. And if you need business insurance, United Commercial Insurance, 229-8222, the best in business insurance. They can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country. Check them out, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. And Mike found another shirt in the closet today that is fitting a little better than it used to, thanks to Lean Feast in Meridian. Check them out, leanfeast.com/Meridian. Fully customizable meal prep service. You tell them how much meat you want, what sides you want, and they got, healthy, stuff. If you're on the keto or whatever your diet is, they have different options for you. 2 minutes in the microwave and you're eating salmon or steak or chicken or all kinds of different stuff. They can do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Leanfeast.com/Meridian. Check them out. We're going to get out there for a live broadcast here in the next week or two. And maybe we get Mike Prater out there for a Thursday broadcast and let him try some of their food. We'll have to see. But leanfeast.com and Meridian, highly recommend them. Friendly staff, and it's great food. And thankful for our partnership with Bronco Nation News here in the month of May. Mike, in terms of Andy Avalos and some of the particulars, you mentioned the decision to make the staff changes. He's made some other staff changes that may have been his decision, may not have been, depending on what the press release, made it seem like. But in-game coaching, just the Andy Avalos coaching, going forward on fourth down, some of the decisions and that come with a game that he has to manage during a game, clock management, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot different going from defensive coordinator to head coach. What stands out to you about Andy Avalos and any improvement areas needed or anything in terms of his actual coaching?
That's a great question. And the first word that came to mind for me was, I think it's been pretty smooth, and you're going to have to remind me if there's been any glaring mistakes, because I don't remember. Well,
there was one game where they had, I believe it was Andy Avalos. They had 10 players on the field for a fourth down against Air Force. There was something else that popped up. I forget what it was. There's been a couple, somebody might remind me. They had the wrong formation or the wrong guy on the field, or they ran the wrong play or something at some point. There's been a couple kind of game management type things, but the one that sticks out is a 4th and goal against Air Force on the blue where they didn't have enough players on the field.
I do remember that, and that was bad. And I remember thinking, that's really bad. But if we're stretching like that after a couple years, I think it's been pretty clean, guy. I really do. I think he's been pretty smooth. I mean, last year he had Dirk Cutter to maybe help him out with those situations, a very seasoned vet. In the past, he's always done a really nice job with seasoned coaches like, the Popingas or other coaches that have been through the wars at high levels. So I think it's been pretty clean. I don't remember sitting here, and I always reserve myself from those because we don't know the situation behind the scenes. Was the 11th guy looking for his helmet because he had to go to the bathroom? I mean, stupid things like that do happen.
There was one more that somebody pointed out, the double jersey numbers on the punt.
Oh, that was a bad one. And he did take a responsibility for that and said, we have to clean that up. So that was another bad one, but you're going to get a couple of those. That you can have a couple of those every single, your golf game. When you go to Timberstone, you get a mulligan. Andy Avalos makes a lot of money not to make mulligans. I get that. The expectations are really, really high, but I think he's pretty clean. Here's my one issue, and I don't know where you're going, or I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but because I do think that's because he's had good coaching and he surrounded himself with a nice mixture of cheap guys at the bottom and really experienced guys at the top. The one thing I need to see from Andy Avalos moving forward is more stability with the coaching staff. He's lost a lot of coaches in 2 seasons. He's kept Spencer Danielson. That's huge. He's not going to be able to keep Spencer Danielson forever. And if he loses Spencer Danielson after this season and 2 or 3 or maybe 4 others, then we have ourselves a problem. That's way too much turnover. That's a red flag for me with Andy Avalos.
One more topic with Andy Avalos is just his personality. I think in particular the way he handles the media at times. What's just your take on how he handles the press conferences and the questions? And obviously doesn't like talking about injuries, and there's other things that he may just and the way he says no comment and some of that. I mean, I know we see the video of him at the coaches clinic, and you see how passionate he is, and you hear him like. And my wife even said, like, that's not the same guy I see in the press conference. It's like, is that really Coach Avalos? Like, he just seems like he has two different personas. The players love playing for him. You can see why. But maybe the times he gets in front of the mic, he has a little different way that sometimes he handles things. What's your take on the public side, I guess, of Andy Avalos?
He reminds me, Andy Avalos, the coach, reminds me of Andy Avalos, the player. Very short, very businesslike, doesn't have a lot to say. Not a lot of nonsense. And I'm talking about interaction with the media right now. So he was this way as a player. Andy Avalos was way, way, way too stiff for me in his first season. I thought he made a little bit of progress last year. And just in terms of showing some personality in these press conferences, and maybe we'll see some growth there. I like Andy Avalos, so I'm going to cut him a little bit of a break. I feel like we have a pretty strong relationship, and I'm not going to deny that. Now, with that said, I do get great I do snicker like a seventh grader when he says the no comment. I know he's got a grudge against a certain reporter in this staff, and that reporter doesn't deserve it. And that reporter in this town is very, very good. And for whatever reason, he and Andy have not really got on the same page. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes that happens. That was me 25 years ago. May have been you 10, 15 years ago. So those kinds of things happen. I think Andy Avalos is getting a little bit better. He's never going to change. He's never going to be the personality guy, especially in public. But I would like him to see a little bit more human side to him. We brought him on our show when him and his wife in summer, they had the coat drive, and he opened up there. You get him in certain situations like that coaching clinic, he can be that guy. But when he puts on the official hat, man, I think he's all business.
Yeah, the Idaho Youth Sports Commission dinner, had a great chat with them, and I can't imagine the pressure and the things that come with being the head coach at Boise State football, because we only see a small fraction of it, Mike. I mean, there are dinners every night and events you have to go to and meetings on campus, and coaching football is actually a very, very small percentage of what it takes to be the head coach. You're more like a CEO, I guess, than the coach. And I do think there certainly has been improvement in that, and. But as we kind of wrap this up, I mean, I think this is a big year. I mean, I think this is a on the field, off the field. Year 3 is you're starting to get your, most of your guys in here, and most of your, and again, I know it's tough luck with the schedule and how bad it starts, but the season as a whole here, you got the playoffs starting in 2024. You lose Cincinnati and Houston and some of these teams, from the group of 5 pool right now. I mean, you start 4-1 somehow, Mike Prater, they're going to be in, among the favorites to potentially go out there and get that, Fiesta Bowl bid this year, whichever bowl it is, Peach Bowl. I mean, it's a smaller pool now, and I think Boise State, with whatever happens with conference realignment, has the chance to really dominate the group of 5. And I think that this year is, I know you said it was Twitter, whatever, but I mean, there were boosters, there were prominent people when they lost to UTEP saying, hey, man, like, something's got to change, or it might be the change. I mean, there were some people that donate money that were unhappy with where they were going, because at that point they were 9-7, I think, in the Andy Avalos era or something, when they were 2-2 coming off a 7-5 season. So he turned it around last year. You mentioned the quarterback change, the coaching change. It all worked great, but I think fans, I don't think, regardless of the schedule, I don't think 7-5, 8-4 is good enough again this year for fans. I think they want to see a 9, 10, 11 win season. And I think fans are, in year 3 here, want to see at minimum a Mountain West championship. I mean, this team, you want to be the top group of 5 team, you got to at least win your conference, which I don't think have done enough consistently over the last 8, 9, 10 years. And so, again, I know the schedule's tough, but I think this is a big year for Andy Avalos and the staff and this program.
I agree. And I can boil it down into the way I'm kind of compartmentalizing it. I don't know what the record's going to be, but this is how I'm going to approach this season. September's going to be rough. And whatever the record is, let's just all brace ourselves that September could be rough. But Andy Avalos has to dominate, and I'm talking absolutely dominate October, November, and December. If he dominates those 3 months, regardless of what happens in September, he'll be fine. And that includes winning a Mountain West championship, to your point. That includes no stupid losses. That includes, depending on the schedule and how it breaks out, 8 wins, a bowl game. I don't care what bowl game, just dominate those last 3 months and September will go away, and you can continue to build this program. So that's how I look at it, regardless of what happens in September.
Going to be a very interesting season and a lot of storylines, and I think a lot of intrigue, maybe more than we've had in a while going into the season, just with Taylon Green and Bush Hamden's offense and the defense and the schedule, and just as your friend John Mallory would say, a lot of meat on the bone. All the food groups are represented, all of his cliche sayings that should make for a very fun next couple of months and a very fun season.
I almost look at it as a very fun couple of years, because I almost see this as a 2-year process. This is kind of like, this year is going to be kind of like the JV version of 2024, where we get the varsity version. That's Genty. That's McAllister. That's Green. That's development with this football team. That's coming off what we think might be a dominant October, November, December of this season. So it's a 2-year play for me. And I think that 2023 could be fun. I think 2024 could be explosive.
Yeah, especially with that playoff starting too. That's kind of what everyone's looking for. So, Mike, appreciate your time as always. Thanks to JP for helping get us on the air here. We'll be listening 3 to 6 today, 95.3 The Ticket, the KTIK app, KTIK.com, Idaho Sports Talk with Bob Prater, Johnny, JP, the whole gang, and then I'll join you guys 4 o'clock tomorrow for the Bronco Nation News segment as well. So, appreciate it as always, Mike, and we'll be talking to you and listening here soon.
Thanks, BJ. See you tomorrow on Idaho Sports Talk as well, 4 o'clock with your Bronco Nation News Report.
Looking forward to it. There he is, Mike Prater. Go subscribe to all the KTIK social media channels as well as Bronco Nation News, and then listen today at 3 o'clock on Idaho Sports Talk. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you with Jay Tuss tomorrow to wrap up the week on Friday. Talk to you later. Go register for the golf tournament. We'd love to have you. Email me with questions, bronconationnews.com/golf. Little couple foursomes remaining. Let's sell this sucker out. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live, bronconationnews.com.